about the voice. Now, I think people are bored rigid with this talk about the voice. And I know you've asked 15 questions that Labor don't want to answer, but isn't this really a simple story? Surely the story is how a voice would be constituted and operate. I see that as irrelevant. Shouldn't a coalition be saying we will not support inserting a race-based amendment into our constitution?
Well, Alan, at the last election, we took a policy decision and had a policy that we presented to the electorate, which said that we supported a local and regional voice, allowing Indigenous people to feed in their thoughts and how the situation might improve them. I think 99% of Australians have in their hearts a desire to see better outcomes. We've just been to Leonora and Laverton in WA, to Alice Springs just before Christmas, and nobody wants to see kids living in that squalor. Nobody wants to see the truancy rates or the life expectancy rates that we see at the moment. Everybody wants to see an improvement in those outcomes. But the thing that the government can't explain is why having a voice enshrined in the Constitution is going to make a practical difference in the lives of those Indigenous kids and women who are suffering much higher rates than the general population of domestic violence. So we've said we want the information, we want to show respect, and we'll hear the case that the Prime Minister has to put. It keeps changing, of course, because now he's saying, well, we're not going to reference the Karma Langton report, whereas a few weeks ago he was saying he could reference that document. He's saying that the voice won't have a seat at the National Cabinet table, but you've got Patrick Dutton out there saying that they should. So we don't even know what the final model is yet. And we'll make all of our points once we've settled on a position, and that will come in due course. And people have been patient. Some people want us out there now, but that's our approach.
Right. Shouldn't, though, the coalition be telling Australians that this will create two categories of Australians? That was once called apartheid, by the way, but are we to have Aboriginal Australians, and we don't know who qualifies as an Aboriginal Australian, but they'd get 2 votes and non-Aboriginals get 1 vote? I mean, out there they're angry about this.
Well, Alan, I get it. I mean, in your introduction, you were making a very valid point that for most Australians at the moment, they're worried, frankly, about how they're going to pay their electricity bill,
Absolutely.
how they're going to fill up the fuel, in their car, how they're going to pay the school fees, how they're going to continue to keep their private health insurance. I mean, they're the issues that, frankly, are front and centre at the moment. And Mr Albanese is making policy decisions, along with Jim Chalmers, that is making it much harder than it actually needs to be for families, because the policies they're presiding over are driving up inflation and therefore driving up interest rates. So I think that's the issue. In terms of the constitutional question, the Liberal Party, as you know, back to John Howard, has supported recognition in the Constitution for Indigenous Australians. But the voice is something that the Prime Minister's come up with. On some days he says it's not his initiative. He's just can here. But again, I mean, they're chopping and changing. I think Australians just want a straight answer from their Prime Minister. So far they haven't got it.
No.
And I think our job, in part as an opposition, is to keep the pressure on the PM for him to release that detail.
Don't you think the silence, though, by the government on providing details is proof that they're terrified of telling the voter what this is really all about? I mean, where do you think this black sovereignty and Lydia Thorpe fit into all of this?
Well, there's an element of that within some Indigenous leadership groups. There's no question about that. And I don't think that represents anything like a majority view. I mean, it's in the single digits, in my judgment. But I must say, and I haven't said this to anyone else yet, but going out to Leonora and these places where the damage to humans and the violence driven by grog is just prolific,